Welcome to Decoding International Brand Part 3.
For decades, Kentucky Fried Chicken sat safely near the very top of the fast food chain. With over 20,000 outlets worldwide, the iconic smiling face of Colonel Sanders, and those instantly recognizable red and white buckets, the brand was a cultural fixture, an empire built on 60 years of finger-licking good heritage. But in February 2018, the UK division of KFC attempted a massive operational pivot. They ended their long-standing delivery partnership and moved their entire national logistics contract to a new provider, DHL. The new single warehouse delivery system failed almost immediately. The supply chain reached a grinding halt, leaving delivery trucks empty while the core ingredients sat miles away in a logistics bottleneck. Within days, out of 900 KFC locations across the United Kingdom, nearly every single one was forced to lock its doors. The chicken empire had run out of chicken. When a massive global brand loses its single defining product overnight, the resulting PR disaster can be catastrophic. Without a product to sell, the brand stops being a restaurant and starts becoming a punchline. The public reaction was swift and mocking. Angry customers took to social media, and newspapers ran front-page headlines ridiculing the shortage. The chaos reached such a peak that some local police departments issued public statements asking citizens to stop calling emergency lines to report the closed restaurants. In this situation, the standard corporate playbook suggests a very specific response: defensive posturing, deflecting blame toward contractors, and issuing sterile press releases meant to minimize the damage. This data shows why that standard approach is dangerous. When companies use defensive corporate jargon during a crisis, modern audiences identify the spin immediately. Instead of de-escalating, clinical language causes public anger to spike. Following this defensive script shifts the narrative to a breach of trust. As the graph shows, brand trust drops sharply and remains suppressed long after logistics are fixed. KFC was standing directly on the edge of this reputational cliff. For the leadership team, following the traditional corporate apology would be the fastest way to lose the audience for good. Inside a war room in London, KFC executives and their creative agency, Mother London, began deliberating. They needed a way to address a mocking press and a furious public simultaneously. They realized that any attempt to downplay the supply chain disaster would only provide more fuel for the viral memes already circulating online. They decided to abandon the corporate playbook for a strategy of radical vulnerability. This diagram shows how that mechanism works. By leaning into the embarrassment of the failure, the brand creates a shield that causes incoming hostility to be deflected. The team concluded that the safest strategic move was actually the riskiest one. They would publicly mock themselves before the internet could do it for them. On February 23, 2018, KFC took out full-page ads in major UK newspapers featuring a stark visual: an empty chicken bucket with the iconic letters rearranged to spell FCK. The bucket image instantly signaled self-awareness. It matched the exact frustrated tone of the public, showing that the company was just as embarrassed as its customers were annoyed. The text below the bucket didn't use industry jargon or excuses. It was a plain-spoken, sincere apology to customers and a public thank you to franchise staff managing the fallout on the front lines. Timing was critical. The brand approved and launched this self-deprecating campaign while the crisis was still actively happening, rather than waiting for the dust to settle later. This combination of honesty and perfectly timed humor successfully short-circuited the public's outrage. Within hours, the narrative flipped. Social media users who had spent the week roasting the brand began sharing the ad and praising the company's honesty. The ad reached millions of people globally and went on to win the industry's highest honors, including top awards at Cannes and the D&AD. By fully owning a massive operational failure, KFC moved past the crisis with a stronger, more resilient connection to its customers than it had before the shortage began. The KFC case highlights two tactical shifts in crisis recovery. A brand must own its mistakes fully to disarm critics, and it must communicate like a human by removing corporate jargon. The strategy also requires speed and bravery. Using humor to rebuild a connection only works if the brand is fast enough to control the narrative while it's still unfolding. This approach reframes a PR disaster as a crisis opportunity. a high-leverage moment where a brand can prove its character to the public. Handled with genuine humanity, the way a brand fails can build deeper trust than if that brand had never failed at all.